today in Rich in Relationship. We're going to talk about how to build real partnership. What is partnership? Where does it begin? Partnership begins on the inside. True partnership means moving from looking good to being honest. And it starts with being honest with me. Connection requires risk. It requires showing a little bit of ourselves, being vulnerable. But peace, real peace, is dependent on the truth being out in the open. And not only out in the open, but everyone embracing it and accepting it, accepting one another, warts, farts, and all. Welcome to another episode of Rich in Relationship. I'm your host, Rich Heller, and today we're going from appearances to substance, building real partnership. And spoiler alert, this applies to your marriage or any other partnership you have. Because what's coming up in 2026 is we're going to start talking about the business of family. We've talked a lot about the emotional bank. We've talked some about the financial bank, but we're going to talk about the family as a financial concern in the world, because 76% of all marriages fight about money. And so we want to really help you with that. So look forward to that in the coming season. But in the meantime, let's talk about building partnership. And I want to be really clear. Partnership is an inside job. A listener says, everyone says we're the perfect couple, but I feel disconnected and fake. We smile for photos and play our parts, but I don't feel seen. Check that out. How do we make this real again? Great question. We're wrapping up the holiday season as we do this episode. We're moving into Hanukkah/Christmas and New Year's. It's time to start setting aside the old and thinking about the new. And we are preening and parading in front of family members and trying to show our best side. And on social media, we're showing our tree, our decorated house, our Hanukkah candles. We're showing our beautiful family, celebrating the glory of the season, the finishing of the year together. We're showing all the good stuff. And yet some of us on the inside feel empty, not even seen. Our feelings not heard or validated. Not unusual. So let's start with, what is partnership? Where does it begin? Partnership begins on the inside. Yeah, we all want to look good. There are very few people who don't worry about that. But do we feel good? Is the way that I'm behaving, myself, in alignment with my image of who I am becoming in the world? Now, for some who are becoming is a business personality. For some of you, who you're becoming is a healthier personality. For some of you, who you're becoming is an image of a higher power. The holidays, for me, the holidays are about the birth of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, who I hope to embody in my behavior, in my actions, in my love. Some people, there's no religious aspect to it whatsoever. I honor and respect everyone's choice when it comes to this sort of thing. But we are all in a state of becoming, and having an image of who it is we're becoming is important. And do we feel like we're moving towards that image? And just somehow the holiday seasons, which are supposed to be about showing our best self, we don't always do that. And how does that impact our partnership? When I'll speak for myself, when I am putting on a facade, or a popular term is being inauthentic, it takes away from my partnership. The message I give my partner is, I don't feel safe. I need to put on a facade. True partnership means moving from looking good by doing all the right things, saying all the right things, having all the right stuff, having the perfect holiday, having the best New Year's affirmation, declaration, goal, whatever, to being honest. And it starts with being honest with me. And then once I'm being honest with me, how am I doing? What do I really want? What's really important about being with family? Is it about the images I'm going to post? Or is it about the experience that we're creating together? When I'm in that experiential side, authentic connection can happen. Authentic connection means I know what the person next to me is feeling. Maybe they're feeling a little uncomfortable. And gently, I'm going to say, hey, how are you? They go, I'm fine. You go, I know about that fine. I've been there. And silence. See what they do with it. It means giving them an opening. Connection requires risk. It requires showing a little bit of ourselves, being vulnerable. And it means being, not only us being honest, but if we feel someone's not being completely honest with us, or if we feel they're not being completely transparent, letting them know and gently, right? Like one way you could say is that person, you could say, oh, you're fine, are you? Well, how could you be fine with what's going on in your house? That's pretty far from gentle. Maybe you could say, fine, I know what that's like. You know, I've been through times where I felt challenged in my life and I didn't know how to cope with it. You know what I'm talking about? And give them an opening. So let me tell you about my good friends, Brad and Gwen. Are they Brad Pitt and Gwyneth Paltrow? I don't know. Brad and Gwen. They had regained balance. They're clients, Brad and Gwen. They're not just my good friends, they're clients. For those of you who don't know, Brad and Gwen are not real people, but these experiences that I'm going to share are real experiences that have come up in my work with clients, and no one client's story is ever in Brad and Gwen, but the situations are true, not real. The best way to put it is these are true stories. Brad and Gwen have regained their balance after years of struggle. They've gone through our communication program and they can talk about their feelings. They've done some deep release work through our breakthrough sessions, but they're still a little guarded. Because guess what? Emotional health is like peeling an onion. There's always more layers to work through. At home, conversations feel safe, but they're a little superficial, which is a red flag for Brad and Gwen because they've achieved some intimacy. So in a call, Gwen says, Rich, we don't fight anymore, but we're not going as deep as we could. And Brad says, yeah, it's true. Sometimes I hold back because I don't want to ruin the peace that we finally found. You know, it's the holidays and I want the kids to see our best side. And after so many years of blowing up at family events, yeah, I feel like I'm finally grounded on a solid foundation. I don't want to take any chances. You see, Brad and Gwen had a stable marriage, but they've kind of sanitized things because they were still stuck in, we want to show our family that now everything is great. And the truth is, in relationships, sometimes they're great and sometimes they're not so great. And when they're not so great, it's a chance to become great because the not so great moments are the things we need to work through to get to our best selves. The not so great moments in a relationship, in a partnership, are the challenges to having real synergy and unity of thoughts. So Brad and Gwen, basically, because of the holidays and because of what they've been through, they were avoiding conflict or avoiding anything that might look like conflict. They were performing. They wanted harmony at the cost of honesty. So we walked through a process of building authenticity after surviving some emotional ordeals, which Brad and Gwen, if you've been listening to this podcast, you know Brad and Gwen have been through the ringer. I'm telling you. So step one was they acknowledged that, you know, what's real for them, not what's going to look best, but what's real for them in that moment. And they shared what they actually felt, not what they thought they should be feeling, right? They thought they should be feeling, man, we made it through the ringer. We're finally on the same page. Let's just not have any more problems. Let's make everything perfect, perfect, perfect. But what was real was, even though they had made it through some really tough spots, they still had some iron sharpen irons moment to work through. They took what's something you haven't said because you didn't want to upset me. Brad would ask Gwen. Gwen would share something. Brad would say, it sounds like he'd use committed listening. Go to the Rich in Relationship group for some committed listening tools, free group on richinrelationship.com. He used some committed listening. It sounds like saying is, you're having this feeling. It sounds like what you're saying is, you're feeling a little anxious because my folks are coming over and they haven't always thought as well of you. You feel like they haven't always thought as well of you as you would like them to. And Gwen said, yeah. And then Brad did the same thing, and Gwen practiced committed listening with him. Brad, it sounds like you're feeling guilty because your folks are coming over and you know you haven't always said the best things about us to them. And they started to work through this whole thing about the in-laws and how to handle that and how to show a unified front. What they realized was that, yeah, of course their in-laws were going to come with some predisposed ideas about how Brad and Gwen were going to relate to each other based on their extraordinary, outstanding, conflicted behavior at past events. But the best way that they could combat that was not by pretending everything was great, but by demonstrating that they could work through disagreements together. They might have a disagreement with their folks over for the holidays, and that'd be okay, because they could do it peacefully, gently, creatively, and with synergy. They knew it was a risk, but they knew they had the tools and the ability to do it. They rebuilt safety through being honest about what was coming up. We reinforced that truth-telling does not destroy peace. There's a risk of it. But peace, real peace, is dependent on the truth being out in the open. And not only out in the open, but everyone embracing it and accepting one another, warts, farts, and all. You see, Brad and Gwen replaced performance, the stage they thought they were on, with honesty. They were going to be honest in front of their folks and show them that, yeah, of course they still had disagreements, because that's the nature of partnership. A strong partnership does not mean that you both see eye to eye and are the same person. That would be so boring. If I were married to myself in female form, that wouldn't last very long. I'd get so bored. The reason why I'm married to someone different than me, the reason why you're in a partnership with someone different than you, is they bring different strengths to the table, a different perspective. Yeah, you may have shared cultural values. You may have a shared vision for your family or your business, because that's what's coming up. In the 26th is the business of family. You may have a shared vision, but you go at it different ways, and that's what keeps it spicy. That's what keeps it interesting. The best music has loud and quiet in it. The best music has hard and soft. If you listen to nothing but headbanging music all the time, it loses something. If you listen to nothing but soft, easy listening all the time, yeah, it keeps you in a serene pace, but it doesn't stimulate your creativity. What stimulates creativity is diversity. And remember that as we go to 2026, all right, diversity is what stimulates growth in partnerships, in families, in communities, in nations. What makes America great is the strength of our diversity and shared values. And we do live in a great nation. Make no mistake. Curiosity starts to replace fear. What's an example of curiosity? Brad remembers how during Thanksgiving, he likes cranberry sauce with horseradish. And Gwen likes cranberry sauce that's really sweet. And they were curious about the difference. And they almost had a fight about it. But when Gwen tried the horseradish cranberry, she said, all right, I can see what you like about that, and vice versa. Honestly, her cranberry was a little too sweet for him, and his horseradish was a little too pungent for her. But they had them both on the table. And some people even mixed them together, because some people liked the sweet and the pungent together. Imagine that. Synergy. Think about it. Vulnerability, being emotionally available is what vulnerability means, replaces the picture you want to create. Because love grows in truth, not appearances. When we're focused on appearances, that's great if you're shooting a podcast. If only I had a perfect appearance today. But it don't work so well in a partnership. The moment you stop performing is the moment you start partnering. Hey, as we wrap up this series, it's going to be nothing but good stuff. It's all about partnership and synergy and how to create it. Stay tuned. Listen for more. And again, join our free community, The Bridge, on richinrelationship.com. And please look forward to the business of family. It covers everything you need to know about building a strong, resilient, healthy family in 2026. I'm Rich Heller. Have an amazing day and a fantastic tomorrow. And thank you.